The cargo bay of the Thamora trading station reeked of scorched metal and ozone. Lieutenant Kira Walsh crouched behind a fallen container, one hand clutching the plasma burn carved across her shoulder. The pain was white-hot, relentless, but she kept her breathing measured. She'd been escorting a diplomatic convoy when the Scaran raiders hit. 6 of them, heavily armed, after genetic samples from the colony worlds. They'd killed the ambassador, taken the samples, and shot her when she tried to transmit a warning. What they didn't know was that she'd corrupted the data first, buying humanity time. The bay door opened. Kira's good hand reached for her sidearm before she saw what was coming through. A Thamora juvenile, one of the apex predators that controlled this sector. The cub was barely a meter tall, covered in midnight black scales that shimmered purple in the low light. Behind him came 2 others, crimson eyes fixed on her. Thamora cubs. Alone. Impossible. Their kind kept their young isolated until maturity. Yet here they were, walking straight toward her. The first cub stopped just beyond her reach. His head tilted, nostrils flaring. "You are Lieutenant Kira Walsh," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Human military liaison. You have a daughter named Amy, age 7. Kira's breath caught. "That's classified." "We know many things," a second cub said, this one with silver markings along her jaw. "We knew the Scaran would come. We knew they would target the diplomatic convoy. We knew you would fight." The third cub, the smallest, moved closer. His scales were lighter, almost gray. "You redirected them from the nursery levels. You made them chase you instead. You took a kill shot to protect our young." Kira hadn't thought about it that way. She just tried to draw the raiders away from the civilian sections, and the nursery happened to be there. But looking at these 3 cubs, at the ancient intelligence burning in their 2 knowing eyes, she understood. They'd been watching. Somehow they'd seen everything. "I need to warn security," she said, trying to push herself up. Her arm buckled. "The Scaran took corrupted data. When they realize it, they'll come back." "They realized it 17 minutes ago," the first cub said. "They are returning. They believe you are dead." The silver-marked cub stepped forward, pulling something from the small pack at her side. A biomesh bandage, military grade, far beyond what civilian cubs should possess. "Hold still," she commanded, and began wrapping Kira's shoulder with quick, practiced movements. The mesh hissed as it activated, numbing the pain and sealing the wound. Within seconds, Kira could move her arm again. "You shouldn't have this," Kira said, recognizing the Thamora military technology. "These are restricted. Our parents are warriors," the gray cub replied. "They teach us from hatching. How to hunt. How to kill. How to survive." His eyes met hers. "How to repay debts." The other 2 cubs had moved to the bay entrance, taking positions on either side of the door. Their small bodies seemed to shift, muscles rippling beneath scales, claws extending from their fingers. The transformation was subtle but terrifying. They no longer looked like children. The first cub remained beside Kira. "The Scaran are landing now. Docking Bay 12. They will be here in 4 minutes." "We need to run," Kira said, trying to stand. "Get you to safety. Get to security." "No." The cub's voice was absolute. "You do not understand what we are, Lieutenant Walsh. You see cubs. You see children to protect." He bared his teeth and they were like daggers. "That is a human mistake." The silver-marked cub looked back at them, her tail lashing. "The Thamora young are not weak. We are not innocent. We are simply uncontrolled." She touched the wall, and her claws left deep gouges in the metal. "That is why we are isolated. Why we are hidden. Not for our safety. For everyone else's," the gray cub finished. "Until we learn restraint. Until we master the hunger." Heavy boots echoed in the corridor beyond. The Scaran were coming, 6 raiders against 3 juvenile Thamora and 1 injured human. Kira's hand found her sidearm, checking the charge. Half depleted, maybe enough for 2 shots. The first cub placed his hand over hers, pushing the weapon down. "You saved our nursery, Lieutenant Walsh. You bled to protect our siblings, our future." His crimson eyes burned with something primal and terrifying. Now we show you why humanity has our friendship, why our parents signed the treaty, why the galaxy fears what we become. The door burst open. 6 Scaran mercenaries, fully armored, weapons hot. They expected a dying human and an empty cargo bay. Instead, they found 3 Thamora cubs standing in perfect formation, scales gleaming, eyes glowing like coals in the darkness. The lead Scaran laughed, a harsh, barking sound. Cubs? They send cubs too. He never finished. The first cub moved, impossibly fast, a blur of black scales and flashing claws. The raider's laughter turned to a scream that cut off wet and sudden. The other 2 cubs struck in perfect synchronization, moving like they trained together for years, like they were extensions of the same deadly will. Kira watched as 3 juveniles tore through 6 armed mercenaries in less than 30 seconds. It wasn't a fight. It was a massacre. And when the last Scaran fell, the 3 cubs stood amid the carnage, barely breathing hard. The first cub turned to her, blood on his claws, death in his eyes. Then, slowly, he retracted his claws. His scales smoothed. His eyes dimmed to a softer red. He became a cub again, small and young. You showed us honor, he said quietly. You treated us as worth protecting, even when you were dying. That is why humans are different. That is why we chose you as allies. The silver-marked cub approached, offering her hand to help Kira stand. Other species see us as weapons, as monsters to use or destroy. Humans see us as people, as children who need guidance, not chains. Kira took the offered hand, pulling herself up. Her legs shook, but she stood. Your parents are going to be furious you left the nursery. The gray cub made a sound that might have been a laugh. Our parents will understand. Honor demands honor. You gave us your blood. We gave you ours. Station alarms began to wail. Security would arrive soon, find the bodies, ask impossible questions. The first cub touched Kira's arm gently, carefully, as if afraid his strength might hurt her. We should not be here. You should not have seen this. Seen what? Kira asked, meeting his eyes. Understanding passed between them. The cubs moved toward the maintenance exit, silent as shadows. At the threshold, the silver-marked one looked back. Your daughter, Amy. She is safe in the human quarter. We made sure of it. Her eyes gleamed. We protect our own now, Lieutenant Walsh. And you are one of ours. Then they were gone, vanishing into the station's depths like they'd never been there at all. Kira stood alone among the dead, her shoulder healing, her weapon still holstered, and realized what humanity had truly earned with the Thamora Treaty. Not just allies, not just trading partners, but something far more dangerous and far more precious. A predator species that had chosen to love them back. Security found her 2 minutes later, standing over 6 dead Scaran, with a story about holding them off. They believed her because humans were known for stubborn courage. They never asked about the claw marks that didn't match human weapons. They never questioned how one injured woman killed 6 armored raiders. And Kira never told them about the 3 cubs who'd taught the galaxy a truth. The most dangerous predator isn't the one that kills you. It's the one that chooses not to.